Hello and welcome to One More Pen. Today, having a closer look at this one. This is the Noodler's Ahab. It is a steel nib flex pen in the lower price range. It is somewhat effective as a flex nib and somewhat not. I mean, any nib can be a flex nib, but there are some nice things about this pen. I have to say, I've had it for a while. Every so now and then I take it out and I enjoy writing with it. It's interesting though. It's very inconsistent. Sometimes I really enjoy it and sometimes I absolutely don't. And it may have something to do with the paper that you're using, have something to do with the ink as well. Although I don't think those things really should be such a big factor in whether you enjoy a pen or not. I mean, you can write on crappy paper and know, okay, this is not the best paper to use, but still enjoy the pen. And this one, it's not an even experience. So there are some really good things about it, things I really like, and I'll show you that. And yeah, some things I don't really like about it. So it's a mixed feelings pen, but I still take it out every so often to use. Let's take a closer look and we'll do a writing sample with this one. When this pen first arrived and I opened the box, I was surprised by the smell that accompanies this pen, and I've heard other people talk about it, but until you experience it, you don't quite believe it. And it really smells bad, I have to say, and I don't know exactly what it is, whether it's, I don't know, something in the manufacturing process or whatever, but not a pleasant smell. That's the first thing. I chose the demonstrator model because I like to see what's happening inside the pen, and you know, my first impression of this pen was that it's pretty nice. I like the way that it looks. I like the size of the pen, so it's really something that I wanted. And flex nib, I don't have any other flex nib pen, so this is my first. Well, whether it's really a flex nib, I'm not so sure, but this was my first flex nib pen. So having a look at it, you can see all the insides because it's nice and transparent. So the barrel is no finial, anything at the bottom, and at the top what we have is this part that can actually screw off, and so you can take your clip off. Actually, I'm not sure what the purpose of that would be, but it is one of the things that I really like about this pen, is that the whole thing essentially disassembles, so it's very easy to take apart and to clean. That's great. This part, however, with the clip is not so great. I think this is a weak spot on this pen. I've had the clip actually bend a little bit, and it bends right over there, and then what happens is you see a gap between the clip and the cap. So the nice thing is, of course, I could just, you know, open it up, bend it slightly, but I have a sense that that's a weak spot, and I'm not very enthusiastic about how long this clip will last. Maybe you have one of these, maybe you had a different experience with that, but and I'd be interested to know about that. So the pen screw cap, and we have one rotation, two and a quarter rotations. It's not bad. I prefer a pen with one rotation, so if I'm taking notes I can quickly uncap it, but this is not so quick. It's not a deal breaker, it's just something, you know, that I notice. On the clip, of course, okay, Cosmo decided to join us and just jumped up. I don't know if he's in view, not quite. So okay, let's hope he doesn't bother us, and we'll just carry on. On the clip it says Noodler's ink, and it is a nice clip. I have to say, I like the shape of it. I think it's very nice. It fits very well with the pen. I just think it could have been better bolt right over there. I think that's where potentially one might see a problem. This center band chrome, oops, Also very nice touch, and it says Noodler's ink, and we come around to Noodler's ink, and that is essentially it. Cap unscrews. We have a completely transparent section, which is nice. It's smooth, and it tapers down just slightly. It's a very comfortable grip, I can tell you that. The size of the pen, the length of the barrel, everything about this pen is really comfortable. I like the large nib. I like the way it looks, I like the way it feels in the hand. On the nib it just says Noodler's Ink Co. And this, I believe, is a fine nib. Now we have an ebonite feed, which is, I don't know, I guess depending on how you feel about that, it could be a good thing or a bad thing. I think generally it would be nice to have an ebonite feed, because I believe that they allow really great ink flow, and in a flex nib, obviously, you can think what the benefits of that would be. You want a lot of really good ink flow. But this pen, when I got it initially, it didn't write out of the box. That was my first gripe with this pen. I had to go and look for YouTube videos and tinker with it and take apart the whole thing, and then you have to warm up the feed and try and seat the nib onto the feed, and it's a whole mission to do that. Sorry about the background noise. And I don't know if it really made a difference. I mean, I did that, I cleaned it out, and after all of that, the pen was writing, you know, fine. It was okay. Not great, but at least it was writing. So that's the first gripe that I have. I think when you buy any new pen, it should write out of the box. That's what I believe. Flushing a pen, okay, that is fine. We know that we should do that, and I don't have any problem with that. But apart from flushing a pen, it really should just work out of the box. If you want to tinker with it, you know, and, you know, I don't know, you know, change it up a little bit to suit your writing style or whatever, that's perfectly fine. That should be, you know, anybody's prerogative to do that. But the pen should write out of the box, and this one does not. So I find this pen to be quite temperamental as far as that is concerned. Now, I don't have a lot of ink in here. I've inked it up with Celadon Cat, Diamine Celadon Cat, which is an ink that I really like. But I'm not sure if this ink is, you know, doing it for me. I've had it in a few pens, and I'm yet to find, yet to have a great experience with it. It's a very unsaturated ink. I really like the way that it looks, but it doesn't seem to do well in every pen and in every paper, and I don't think it does great in this pen. So now you can remove the barrel. It just unscrews, and it's very smooth on the threads, plastic threads of course, but very smooth. And then we have a piston here, and you just simply push it down and pull the ink back up. This whole thing takes apart, this screws off, this whole thing comes apart. It's really great in terms of being able to clean it. It doesn't matter what ink you have in here, you will get it all out, so not a problem there. I've got very little ink in here, and I probably won't ink it up again. I think when I'm done with this, it's getting cleaned and it's going back in the drawer. I think we've had a look at the pen. Maybe we should do a writing sample, and I can tell you a little bit more about what this pen does with paper. So I'll be using my Rodeo Dog pad for a writing sample. Just good, reliable paper. So I don't even know if this pen will write, because I've been having some problems with it, but let's see what happens. This is the Noodler's ink, and it is the Ahab with a fine nib. Okay, that's pretty good. I wasn't expecting it to write because I've been having some problems with it. In terms of ink flow, I think that's pretty decent. I really like this ink is just brilliant. Absolutely love it. Now, as far as the flex nib goes, I mean, how much flex can you get out of this? So if you just use it as a normal writing pen, it's perfectly fine, and you could probably see it's quite nice and wet. And if we apply a little bit of pressure, we can get some line variation and more pressure. And so ultimately, yes, we can get some good line variation out of this pen. But the problem is, in order to get that, I'm applying a lot of pressure. This nib is really hard. It's not soft by any means. It is steel nib, so one wouldn't expect it to be soft. But still, I find it very hard. I also find the nib to be, sometimes it feels scratchy. I'm not talking about feedback. It provides very pleasant feedback, but sometimes it does feel scratchy. And depending on the paper that you use, this is the Rhodia paper, and I'm not really seeing any feathering there. It looks fine. I've been using a Pica, which is also really good quality paper, but it's been bleeding through and it's been feathering. And I was wondering if on the nib, if there was, some little imperfection, maybe a burr or something that's eating into the paper and causing it to bleed into the paper like that. I'm not seeing the same thing here on the Rhodia, so maybe that's the paper, I don't know. Could be. I do find that with this ink and other inks that are fairly unsaturated, that's just my experience. Maybe you have a different experience, but I find it with unsaturated inks on a really smooth paper that you get some skipping, and it doesn't always do really well. It's almost as if, I don't know, as if the inks I don't know, it just doesn't go onto the paper very well. This actually looks fine. I'm quite happy with this now. So this is an interesting development for me. So maybe let's do some more writing. I am not used to writing with a flex nib and putting the right amount of pressure where I need to get a nice sort of calligraphy type experience, but at the same time this nib is so hard that it is really great effort to produce a little bit of line variation, which is a pity. I'm thinking maybe here, I don't know, this looks like there's a little bit of feathering, but actually all in all it's fine. It's not a bad experience. The ink flow certainly keeps up. It sounds a bit not scratchy, but it's a decent amount of feedback. What am I doing? Ink, Diamine, Celadon Cat. Right, so there you have it. All in all, not a bad pen. Oh, the one thing I did forget to mention, this pen has a tendency to burp ink. So you do get that from time to time, that you'll be writing and just blah, ink all over the page. That happens occasionally. It's not a deal breaker for me at all. That kind of thing doesn't really bother me. But the other thing I've also experienced is it's not the kind of pen I'll put in my pocket and take around with me, because it easily makes a mess. I took it with me the other day very quickly, and when I took it out I had ink everywhere inside the cap. and that was with a really, I can't say that I was doing anything that would necessarily cause that, and doesn't happen with any of my other pens. So this is the kind of pen I think that does well if you keep it on your desk. If you have some skill, I think, in calligraphy writing and writing with flex nibs, I think you'll do okay with it. It's not going to be your best experience. I don't think it's great as a flex nib. I think using this pen, you should really use it like any other normal fountain pen, and occasionally maybe get a little bit of flex out of it and a little bit of line variation. Then I think you'll be quite happy with it. So some good things about it, some not so great things. I still enjoy this pen, even though I've got to say I think Noodler could have done a better job with it, but still a pen that I really enjoy using. So there it is. I hope this is helpful to you. As always, I appreciate the support if you like and subscribe, so please do that, and I will see you next time.